We're halfway through the 2024 season. Kirby Smart and Carson Beck still haven't answered this question. And that is, what is Georgia's identity on offense? Right? It's been an up and down season, right? From the very first game against Clemson, they only scored 6 points in the first half. They came back strong in the second half. Tennessee Tech doesn't matter. They couldn't get anything going offensively, especially in the passing game against Kentucky. The next week, they go off for 500 total yards in a loss to Alabama. But even in that game, nothing in the first half, a lot in the second half. Against Auburn, it was inconsistent. The total yards were about the same there, but then they come out and go 600 total yards against Mississippi State. And then we saw what happened last week. Too inconsistent. I think that right now is probably Georgia's identity, if you ask me. Way too inconsistent for a lot of different reasons. But Kirby Smart had something different to say. Someone asked him kind of about that earlier this week. And he, said himself, hey, we're inconsistent, but we're also unbelievably resilient. This is what he had to say. He said the one thing that this offense has shown outside of at times being inconsistent, it's a lot of times, but let's continue. It's shown unbelievable resilience. You think about the game we've been in that we've had to respond to with a score. It seems like every time in the second half someone scores, they respond. I feel like that happened in Auburn. I feel like that happened in Mississippi State. I know it happened against Alabama because it happened the entire second half. So they've shown great resilience. And that is a quality, although there are higher ranked qualities possibly. That is a very high ranking quality that not all teams have. I think I said that wrong. I apologize. I went to Kennesaw State. Big win, by the way, over Liberty last night, baby. That was sick. Anyway, back to Kirby Smart. He said, I don't like the back against the wall mentality that you come out fighting with because I don't like to play with my back against the wall. I want to start off aggressively and attack. But there are times when you lose momentum and you have to respond to that. And they have been very good at that. So yeah, this team can take a punch. And the offense, I will say this about them. They know how to fight, right? They're inconsistent. I think that's been one theme of the offense so far, inconsistency, but they're fighters, right? They've shown that, they can come out and play a tale of two halves, like maybe in the Clemson game. They've shown that they can fight and win tough games on the road against Kentucky, even though it wasn't the offense that led them to victory. They got into the end zone when they needed to, and they moved the chains when they needed to. They came up clutch when it mattered against Kentucky to kind of hold them off. They didn't make nearly enough plays that they needed to, but they found a way to win. Against Mississippi State, Carson goes for 450 plus yards, right? Multiple touchdowns. He had the turnovers. And that's the thing. Like, Carson Beck has been inconsistent this year. The receivers have been inconsistent this year. Whether sometimes they're making plays, sometimes they're dropping the ball. The tight end play, while it's gotten better, has still been questionable for a lot of the season. Or, maybe has underperformed up to their standards. They set the standard themselves. Brock Bowers set the standard for that room. And again, they've played better, but they've been inconsistent to what they expect from themselves. The offensive line play has been inconsistent. Sometimes Xavier Truss is opening up running lanes and doing his job. Sometimes he's falling on his butt and getting kind of embarrassed. So, the run game, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. It was there enough against Texas, but the passing game wasn't, right? And again, you look from a total yards perspective, 200 against Kentucky, 500 against Alabama, 200 plus 300 maybe against Auburn, 600 against Mississippi State, and then back down against Texas. So inconsistent, but in my opinion, do they have to find an identity? Or is this it? Is it that they're going to be inconsistent? And some drives are going to look great, and sometimes they're going to go 3 and out. And maybe one game they're running through Ole Miss, and then they don't run through Tennessee. Maybe it's just an up and down game or a tale of two halves against Florida. Maybe they go, it's one way or the other. Maybe that's just what they are, and they're unable or incapable for some reason where they can't put it together offensively for 4 quarters. Maybe that's it. I don't know, but do they have to beat Florida in a shootout? I don't think so, right? Are they going to be in a shootout in Oxford? I don't think so. I don't think they're going to be a shootout in Athens in Tennessee when Tennessee comes to town. I think that'll be low scoring too. So if you're Georgia's offense, you don't have to start playing your best. I mean, you would like to start playing your best immediately against Florida, right? But the way the defense is playing, I'm going to talk about that in another video. If you're Carson Beck, if they can just get the run game going and he limits the turnovers, they're going to be just fine offensively the rest of the way. And it should be more than enough to win out through the regular season the way the defense is playing. But the turnovers for Carson Beck are just too many, right? And again, you can look at every position group on offense and say inconsistent. But they fight and they're resilient. They can erase a 28-point deficit, right? I'm not saying they're going to win the game, but they could be down 28 and they've shown that they can come back and take the lead, right? Against Mississippi State, when State's trying to fight back and you let them into the game and you need a big touchdown to secure the victory, they got it done. Great drive. When they needed it, they go up 2 scores, and State scored again to make the score a little closer than it should have been. But when they needed a final score to kind of put the dagger in them, Georgia got it done. And then against Auburn, they got it done when they needed to. It didn't look pretty all the time, which goes back to the inconsistency, but it was more than enough. And I thought Carson played well against Auburn. And again, he looks great at times and will make an NFL caliber throw. And then he'll just make a dumb decision and a dumb throw. And those are different. He's made some bad throws, but he's also sometimes making decisions where it's like, man, you're senior now, dude. You've been in the program for 5 years. You're still making that type of throw, that decision. The first pick against Texas, there's no window. You can't throw it through 2 defenders. There's no window there. What are you saying? How do you think you can throw that there? It wasn't a bad throw. It's where he probably wanted it to go. Exactly. But it was an awful decision because no one could have made that throw, right? So that's where you're thinking, okay, you could be a little accurate here off and on, no one's perfect, but to make those type of decisions as a veteran quarterback, that is a little concerning. So he's been inconsistent. The offense has. And, is there still time to put it all together, right? Or is this who they are? I think that's a good question, and I'd listen to both examples. I think Georgia can get better. I think they'll get better before they get worse. So I do think, was the Kentucky game in Lexington, was that the peak? Was that the bottom of how bad this offense could be? Maybe not the passing attack. I think the passing attack probably was at its peak last week, or at least you would like to think so, right? I guess Carson Beck could play worse because right now it's somewhat I don't want to say decline, because I think he played well for like 80, 85 maybe percent of the Mississippi State game. Not the Texas game, Mississippi State game. So there have been times recently, I thought he played more than okay against Auburn. It was safe, efficient, winning football. So it's not like he's been playing awful for several games now. Just too up and down, too inconsistent. Well, Jekyll and Hyde, got to get that together. But if the defense can play like they did last week, which is, you can't expect it, right? Because they gave up 30-plus points to Mississippi State. And again, I'm going to talk about that in another video. This is about the offensive identity. It should be run the football and get it to number one. Their identity should be safe, take care of the football, no turnovers, and get the ball to Trevor Etienne. And try to occasionally spread the ball out on the, and go down the field. But don't turn the ball over, and make sure number one gets as many touches as possible down the stretch, especially when, in against Ole Miss and then against Florida and Tennessee and every game except UMass. I don't know why they have to play UMass. Can we just cancel? Just cancel the UMass game. No one. That's bad. No, go to the UMass game. Have a great time. UMass, the Minutemen. But against everyone else, get number one the football. Good things happen. He's their best player on offense right now. I think could be a question for another time. But right now, that's your best player. Feed him the football. So maybe it should revolve around that. But if you had to pick an identity on this offense right now, you can go several ways. Kirby Smart talked about their resiliency. And I totally get that. You can make that argument. And they have looked resilient. And they have fought back. And they have been clutch at times. But again, inconsistency, resiliency, and I would throw their ability to fight. And maybe that coincides with, resiliency. Maybe those are two things. Those words are under the same umbrella. Synonyms, right? Those could be synonyms. The ability to fight and resilience, fight through adversity. And maybe they are the same thing. Kennesaw State, baby. Synonyms. We learned those, in middle school, though. So I'm not going to give Kennesaw State the credit there. Big win though. Big win. Beat the Flames, baby. Let's go. What do you think it is? You let me know. You can read all about this over on Dawg Post. When I'm looking down, I'm looking at the story. I'm looking at some of the quotes So you can read more about this over on Dawg Post. Get your Bulldog today, collegebronze.com. Promo code Dawg Post. Don't forget about that. Promo code Dawg Post, DAWGPOST.com. Don't miss out on the discount, okay? That's where you get the discount on the best Georgia Bulldog statue on the market. Thanks for watching this video. I made it through. It wasn't my best. Thanks for sticking with me. You can read more about this over on Dawg Post. Georgia's identity on offense. Do we know? What do you think it is? Let me know in the comments section. I'll see you on the next video.